Another Dooley Noted Podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, and welcome into another Dooley Noted Podcast, presented as always by the great folks at Titan MRI, who I may be going to see this week because I got a new appointment for something else for my back. It's killing me. And they always, unbelievable how efficient they are. Believe me, go to Titan MRI. And, of course, we come to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. We appreciate Jeffrey Meldon and all the great stuff they do, including sponsoring Coach Spurrier's segments here. Now, of course, Coach Spurrier's not here today. He's at the reunion for the 49ers. I think it's 50th year anniversary of that team. And so he'll be here Friday, though. Today, we're going to have Buck Belue on. And Buck Belue is a longtime friend of mine. And I've known him really since he played college. I actually covered – I know this is going to sound amazing for all you people who go, Gator homer, man. But I covered FSU for about 3 or 4 years. I covered Georgia for 3 or 4 years. I've covered a lot of teams and, just always enjoyed being around cool people. And Buck is one of the most chill people I know. And I can't wait to talk to him about a lot of things, including yes, no way, or maybe. He'll be playing that with us today. Usually Robbie does it on Mondays, but Robbie will do it on Friday because Coach Spurrier is coming on Friday, and then the following Monday it'll be back to Coach Spurrier. I threatened not to watch college football because I wasn't overwhelmed by the schedule. I did watch a fair amount, not as much as usual, but I went to Bat Fest instead, which was really cool. It was up there in northern Alachua County somewhere. I don't even know where. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't find it again if I had to. But it was actually fun. There was a ton of people. It looked like the Field of Dreams scene at the end where all these cars are lined up coming in to see the Field of Dreams. They were all coming in to see bats, which is pretty much all it was. There was a bunch of bats, and they were cool. I loved it. But my wife made me get out of the house. I did still watch enough games that I know what happened, and it was a lot of fun. I don't know what I wrote down here, so I won't talk about it clearly. Let us get right away then to the Hand Law starting lineup. As you know, the starting lineup is presented by Hand Law, a Florida law firm which helps clients with government. You can learn more about Hand Law by visiting its website at www.hand.law. The firm is available for consultation in Jacksonville. Oh, I played golf with my daughter, too, on Sunday, so that was a lot of fun, too. Had a good time. Oh, I know what it was I wrote down here. We're going to make an announcement on Wednesday about the Bob Dooley Invitational, whether we're going to have it or not. Believe me, it's never been this close to being extinct, but I'm leaning towards it's going to happen. My brother Tim is coming to town, and we're going to have a long discussion about everything we need to do. It's so much work. Anybody who wants to help, you know how to get a hold of me. It's not hard. I think it's going to be May 13th. We don't know if we do have it. But all these decisions are going to be made, and we'll let you know Friday how that's going to work out. In fact, we may even give away a foursome for that as well. Or maybe we'll raffle it off. Anyway, it's time for the Hand Law starting lineup. Let's go to number one. And the big question that we all are wondering, all of us who don't know, what did Florida do during the break? How can they get better on defense? Well, here's one way to get better. Let Colorado keep playing, because Colorado actually went ahead of Florida into 130. So Florida's 130th in third down defense because Colorado had another awful – they're just awful. They're a bad team. But what did Florida do to get that better? And it's not going to be easy. Look, the stats – I was doing the stats today – just kind of doing a statistical analysis of a lot of things. I watch all of Georgia's games, but I was doing this statistical analysis, and basically when I looked at it, I was like, this is worse than I thought it was going to be. It's not good. There's one stat where Georgia has a little bit of a problem. That's sacking the quarterback. They've only got 7 this year. Florida's only allowed 5. Go Gators. That's going to be the difference in the game, but I don't think it will be. But again, this was a big recruiting weekend, for Florida, or week, just as far as getting out and talking to people. We'll see what happens. But what are they going to do? What are they going to be able to do to slow down? this Georgia offense. And when you think of Georgia, you think of great defense. There's no doubt about it. They've got a great defense again this year. Even without the sacks, their numbers are off the chart. They're top 10 in both offense and defense, but their offense has been really good this year. And as a result, Florida is a 22.5-point underdog. That would be the biggest spread ever in the Florida-Georgia game. It says a lot about what one school's been able to do by recruiting their asses off and doing it and stacking class after class. When you're able to do that, and again, I'm not saying Billy Napier is going to usurp Kirby Smart as a great recruiter. It's probably going to be a battle between those two, and eventually Saban will be out of the mix, and who knows who goes in there. But it's not easy for a coach to, especially with the playoffs. It's almost harder to get up to that level, but you can have the 9th best class 5 years in a row and beat the number 1 team. That's not impossible. You just have good enough players. You have to develop them. But I think Georgia's last 4 recruiting classes are 3, 3, 1, and 2 in the country. So they've stacked them. And when you can stack them like that, you end up with, this kind of a situation. Florida hadn't stacked diddly poo, as the great Jim Mora once said. That's number 1 on the hand-law starting lineup. Number 2 brings us to the question that we get a lot of on the tailgate, when I get a lot of in public. Should Florida just basically gut this season, don't care about going to a bowl, whether it does or not, just play a bunch of young guys and get ready for the future? Well, that's not the way coaches are built. I talked about this a little bit on Friday. Coaches just aren't built that way. They are built to win that game that day with these players, the players that give them the best chance to win. And I don't disagree with that. I still think if you're going to ask even 70,000 people for the South Carolina game, again, depends on what they do in the next 2. But if you ask 70,000 people to come to your game and then you say, but we're not going to try, okay? It's going to be like a preseason game from now on because we're not going to try. You just don't do that. And you want to get to a bowl and you want to try to win as many games as possible. That's your legacy. Coaches are not going to do that, even though sometimes you want them to do it. There are players that I do believe need to be sat down. I can think of 1, or I can think of 0. No, that's not what I said. Anyway, they want to play to win the game more than anything, not down the road, because you don't know how down the road you're going to be. Don't forget that. Number 3 on hand-law starting lineup. It was a weird weekend. I ended up loving what I did get to watch of college football. Texas A&M 3-4 now. And by the way, this tells you, I don't know if it tells you more about how much Texas A&M has been a disappointment. Florida has not been a major disappointment. I would say on the list of disappointments, Florida's about a 3, and Texas A&M's like an 8. And I'm going the other way. At 3-4 right now, but the Florida-Texas A&M game announced for a noon start. So that's 11 o'clock out there. And as Coach Spurrier used to always say, don't reset your watches. Let them play at 11. We'll play at noon. And that was always a good point. Little things like that do make a difference. That game was interesting to watch, certainly against South Carolina. Ole Miss losing finally. LSU rushing the field. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Miami losing to Duke and having 8 turnovers. All of a sudden, Bo Nix is a Heisman candidate at Oregon. What is going on? The world is upside down. Weber State had 4 safeties, all on punt snaps in one game. Nobody's ever done that. This is the weirdest college football season. And then Texas loses to Oklahoma State. Texas has 14 penalties. Oklahoma State, the same number as a player at Florida whose name's Trey D. 0. It's 0. College football is just freaking me out this year. It really is. Number 4 on hand-law's starting lineup, Jermaine Burton did play last week. I don't think it was right. I think the league should have stepped in there. Maybe they felt like – and Saban comes out and says, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know all the it's right there on the video, but okay, whatever. But unfortunately, because Tennessee game was one of the most watched games for a regular season of all time, and certainly the most watched this year. And everybody watched it. I watched every minute of that game. It was a great game. But when they rush the field like that, it gives it kind of enforces it for other people to rush the field. LSU rushing the field after beating Ole Miss. How low have you sunk, LSU? Come on. It's Ole Miss, your little brother. You finally beat them, and look at us running on the field. No, that came from Tennessee. Now, LSU gets a $250,000 penalty for that, and the reason they get it is because it's a third offense. What's the fourth offense? The fourth offense should be you lose a home game. You lose a home game next year, or you lose a home game in 2 years. Whatever you – if they say, well, the scheduling makes – no, you're going to lose a home game if you rush the field again. That should be the penalty. Why they don't do that, I don't know. But then Clemson rushed the field after beating Syracuse. Both of those, I truly believe, were a result of what happened in Knoxville. Doesn't mean Knoxville's to blame for it. You can stop people from rushing the field. It's not impossible. I've never seen anybody rush the field in Gainesville. It's not impossible. But when you do that, you have problems, like Jermaine Burton punching somebody, and then it just gets worse and worse. And look, what do you think is going to happen this week? Somebody's going to win. Like, Rutgers is going to beat somebody and storm the field. Anyway. Finally, number 5 on the starting lineup from Hand Law. Phils and Astros in the World Series. Good for them. I don't know that I'm going to watch a lot of it. Astros pretty amazing. 7-0 in elimination games here. They've been in 4 since 2015, which is pretty amazing. And they've eliminated the Yankees 4 times since 2015. They are the Yankees' daddy, and you have to accept that if you're a Yankee fan, the Astros. Thank God we moved them over to the American League. But this is a chance with the Phillies of having 3 of the last 4 World Series champions being from the NL East. Best division in baseball, yeah, we did win that, the Braves. We didn't quite get out of the playoffs, but we did win that, the best league in baseball. That's all I got going for me this year. All right, that is going to do it for our Hand Law starting lineup. We got a lot of stuff to cover, and look forward to it. We're going to bring on Buck Belue here in just a minute and talk to him about a lot of things that he sees with his Georgia football team. Perfect guest to have on because he is not only a great guy, but certainly has a track record for knowing the history of this rivalry, as we know. All right, let's take a break. And is that good, Tammy? Break? All right, Tammy says thumbs up on the break. So we'll take a break. I didn't shut my phone off. All right, now I have it. We'll take a break. We'll come back with more on Another Dooley Noted Podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from Another Dooley Noted Podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Gripco To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Gripco To Go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life. And the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Pat Dooley's Story Time is brought to you by Eastlake Pediatrics. Nobody knows how to provide pediatric health care for little Gators better than Dr. Mike and the other board-certified pediatricians and the pediatric nurse practitioners of Eastlake Pediatrics. They have been providing personalized health care to the children of Pinellas, Pasco, and Hillsborough counties since 2004. And with the recent addition of Dr. Chris, who is also board certified in sports medicine, they are now offering care for youth sports injuries as well. To learn more about Eastlake Pediatrics, call 727-372-6760. And to get to know them better, listen to Dr. Mike and Dr. Carey on their Peds and Pop podcast on multiple platforms. Gator football is back, and the best way to get exclusive insight is a membership in the Gainesville Quarterback Club. As the oldest Gator booster club in the world, Gainesville Quarterback Club gives you the access to speakers like coaches, Gator greats, and more. Yeah, I even talk over there. It's pretty cool. Share your passion for Gator football with hundreds of other members at weekly in-person meetings or for non-locals via Zoom with an out-of-town membership. Right now, out-of-town memberships are only $150, and all new out-of-town signups get entered to win 2 Champions Club tickets to homecoming. That's pretty cool. Against Missouri, speaker presentations, home game tailgates, and special events throughout the year. Join the Gainesville Quarterback Club today. Email the club at membership@quarterbackclub.org or call me, Pat Dooley, 352-317-3444, and I'll get you in touch with the right people. Gainesville Quarterback Club.
Is your bank dropping the ball, not playing with heart or skill? Then you need to check out the scouting report on Campus USA Credit Union. That's a 5-star recruit if I've ever seen one. Campus has it all, like great rates and products, friendly service, and smart game plans for you and your money. So why not put some star power in your financial life? Visit campuscu.com or any campus service center today.
Honey, can I recruit you to take the garbage out?
Okay, and welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. And we appreciate all of our great sponsors. We're going to go to the Big Mills Zoom line and talk to our guest today. And there he is, the legend, the great Buck Belue. How are you, Benjamin?
Hey, we're doing fine. Let me turn the volume up.
Does anybody ever call you Benjamin? Does your mom still call you Benjamin?
No, nobody's ever called me Benjamin. Buck was given to me at birth. So, yeah, maybe the first grade teacher was the last one to do that.
Well, I just happened to look at it on your Wikipedia page, so I knew it. But, how many times have you told people that you threw a 93-yard touchdown pass when actually it was only 20 yards?
I think it was 25, wasn't it?
20-ish.
Yeah, I don't ever bring that up. It's asked or it's brought up to me a lot, but I'm very proud of that pass. That was the best 25-yard pass I've ever thrown.
You know, I was watching the video of it, which pains me terribly, but and you were like only a couple yards behind the line of scrimmage. Was there a point where you thought, I'm going to run this and try to get the first down?
No, I was determined that ball was going to go to Lindsey Scott, and it was predetermined. Gosh, it just reminds me of the NCAA basketball tournament where you get a tie game, you're down one, you got to score or you're out.
Right.
And so the ball's got to go to your best guy. So I knew the ball had to get to Lindsey Scott. He was the guy that could make the big play for us. So I was determined to find a way to get him that ball on that play.
By the way, I asked them to make your little thing there at the bottom, former Bulls quarterback, because, of course, those were the 2 years that we really got to know each other very well. But I knew you from college because I covered Georgia, and then with the Jacksonville Bulls. That was as good a 2 years as I ever spent. I don't know about you.
I look back as those days being really phenomenal. Just been able to work really with Lindy and Fonte.
Yeah.
And learn the NFL West Coast passing scheme, which still benefits me today, talking NFL football, doing sports talk radio. They didn't teach a lot of those concepts at Georgia. So it was a really benefited. At the time, Pat, I didn't really, I was in professional baseball, make the jump to USFL. And, there were nights where I wondered, what the heck am I doing? But looking back on it, just really blessed to have spent those 2 years in Jacksonville with Lindy, learning the offense and played with a lot of great football players.
By the way, I wanted to ask you how your former coach is doing. My namesake, Vince Dooley, who was named after me, but I know he was in the hospital with COVID. How is he doing? Have you talked to him lately?
I saw him 10 days ago, and he had just gotten out of the hospital, and gosh, he was at a book signing at the UGA bookstore, and I said, Coach, you should be at home. And he said, well, I made a commitment to be here, so I'm just trying to follow up on that commitment. I just really impressed with his toughness and, dedication to living up to his word, so to speak. So he's in our thoughts and prayers, and I know his wife, Barbara, and his two daughters are taking good care of him right now.
Well, you obviously playing for him, who was a phenomenal coach, and then you obviously have done a lot of games or been in the stadium for a lot of games. Steve Spurrier coach. You could not ask for two guys that were more different, but was there one thing that both of those guys had, whether it was confidence or just attention to detail, that made them both really great coaches?
Well, I know with Coach Dooley, it was integrity. He was a man of his word. And on that recruiting trail, Pat, there were a lot of these shysters out there that were telling you, what they thought you wanted to hear. And so I just had a hard time trusting a lot of those guys. Coach Dooley, it was never that way. And I was told if he told you something, you could basically take it to the bank. And so I trusted him more than a lot of those other coaches. And he lived up to his word. Everything he said I could do, play baseball at Georgia, which typically they don't allow football players to do. And he allowed me to do that. Coach Spurrier, I always was really drawn to Coach Spurrier and really just followed him as a player. When I was a kid, he was in the NFL, so I was tracking him. I had some of his football cards and that kind of thing. And, liked his offensive philosophy. He attacked vertically, and I was always sort of drawn to that. So it's been great getting to know him through the years and really enjoy the give and take that we have together. I bump into him the 4th of July every year on vacation, and he normally picks on me a little bit about, something to do with Georgia. But this year, down there, he didn't pick on me any. I'm guessing it's because the Bulldogs won that national championship again.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of sucked all the wind out of a lot of Gator fans, I can tell you that, where they don't have that weapon to use anymore. It's like they pulled a big bazooka out of their arsenal. But I look at this Georgia team right now, and I was actually doing a stat analysis that I do for Gators Wire where I tell you 12 things you need to know about the opponent. And as I went through it, I went, oh, crap, this is going to be terrible. Florida's not no chance to win this game. I mean, it looks like another championship possibly, because you never know when you get into a singular game, whether it's against Ohio State or Alabama or Clemson or whoever. You never know. But it's certainly the potential to have a back-to-back.
I'm a little surprised defensively that they've been able to put it together like they have. Gosh, never seen anything like the guys they lost off last year's defense, which was as good as I've ever seen following college football. So I was surprised they were able to plug and play. I know they've recruited well, and that coaching staff on the defensive side of the ball has got to be among the best, if not the best, in college football, with Kirby and Glenn Schumann does a great job. You got Will Muschamp on the staff, and they've done a great job of coaching up these young players on the defense, and they're playing a little bit different. They're rushing 3 and 4 guys and playing a lot of 8-7-man zone coverage. You don't see a lot of blitz out of them, so they've altered what they've done a little bit this year, but I've been really impressed with that.
Well, and that's one reason they're last in the SEC in sacks, which is the only flaw I was able to find. But I mean, teams are getting rid of the ball quickly. You know, they're saying, "Hey, we aren't going to wait for these guys to get to us. We're going to get rid of the ball." They've only had 7 sacks this year, so that's all I can offer Gator fans. They're
not giving up the big play though. Not many teams are getting explosive plays because of the deep zone they're playing. Nolan Smith and Robert Beal do a great job on the edge of keeping containment. They're playing a lot of guys, especially on that defensive line. And I know they need to get healthy, though, Pat. Carter, defensive tackle, hoping he's going to be ready Saturday. He's the best player on that defensive side of the ball. And I think offensively, the X-wide receiver spot is really the weakness on the football team. A.D. Mitchell stepped in and made some plays a year ago, caught a touchdown pass in the national championship game that helped seal the deal. And he's been injured. Arian Smith's been down, who's their most explosive receiver. And they have not been able to get that ball out to that X-wide receiver very much. And you know, when teams want to blitz you and come after you, get after your quarterback, typically, here I go with Lindy Infante, typically you go right to that X-wide receiver spot. There's no safety over the top. He's got press man-to-man coverage against the cornerback, and that's typically where you want to attack first. They've been unable to do that this season because of a couple of injuries. But look, Brian McClendon has come back on the staff as the wide receiver coach. He went down to Lakeland and got that commitment from the 5-star receiver there in Lakeland, Florida. I think things are going to change, but right now, that would be the weakness on the team as I see it.
Well, I mean, they've got as you said, I think they're giving up 9 points a game on defense, and I don't think it's kind of funny when you say, well, they haven't played a tough schedule. Well, Oregon's turned out to be great, except for that game, and sometimes first games aren't great indications of how you are, but certainly, their schedule gets a little tougher with Tennessee coming up next week. Somebody actually put this on a website, and they said Georgia's biggest concern is they're looking ahead to Tennessee. I go, dude, it's Florida, Georgia. Nobody's looking ahead to anything. Believe me.
Kirby does a great job with that. And I think the team, he encourages, the leadership really to come from the team. And they're in great shape with Stetson Bennett as a 24-year-old man back at quarterback. He's the leader of that offense. I mentioned Nolan Smith on defense came back for a senior year, and he does a wonderful job on that side of the ball. And look, the message has got to be we're taking it one game at a time. And you don't have to look very far to see the number of times Georgia's come to Jacksonville rated very high and Florida's not, and the Gators have taken them out with an upset. So I wouldn't look for them to come out flat. And I would think the message this week is this, one game at a time. We got plenty of time to get ready for Tennessee next week.
Yeah, absolutely. It certainly is going to be an interesting game, but I'm just wondering whether Billy Napier's maybe got Florida or Georgia's attention a little bit with some of the recruiting wins he's had, and of course bringing Katie Turner down here. At least Florida has a pulse on the recruiting side of things where maybe they didn't in the last few years.
Yeah, and I know he's got a great reputation for being an outstanding recruiter, and I don't think Dan Mullen and Todd Grantham were tearing up the recruiting trail. I think they were more comfortable back at the office in Gainesville. And so I know that's changed. That's part of the culture change as I see it.
Georgia fans could have warned us about Todd Grantham, right?
Well, he did a great job once you get him on campus, to show him the video that he's cut up and put together. That whatever the position the player plays, and does a great job on campus there. But I don't think he and Dan, either one, like jumping on a plane and going anywhere.
Well, and that's what makes Kirby the great recruiter. I mean, their last 4 classes are 3, 2, 1, and 2, I think, or 3, 2, 3, 3, 1, and 2, whatever. Is that he is relentless. That's what when I ask guys who in the media about him up in Georgia, they always say relentless is the word they use, and I go, well, that's an easy word to throw out, but they go, no, I'm telling you, he's relentless. What have you seen from him?
Well, I see him in that helicopter all over Metro Atlanta on Friday nights. I have seen that, and just knowing him personally, this is part of his personality. He's going to outwork you, and I think that comes from his father more than Nick Saban. His dad was a longtime high school football coach in the state of Georgia. And I know everybody likes to say, well, Kirby learned that from Nick Saban. I think he learned a lot of this coaching from his dad. But he is relentless. I think of a story Mike Cavan told me about when they approached Kirby Smart over at Alabama about coming and taking the Georgia job. That the Kirby, they said, look, what do we need to make happen for you to get you interested in coming back home? And I think there were 3 things, Pat. One was he was going to have to make upgrade the facilities, which had fallen behind. The other thing was the assistant coaches' salaries had to go up, had to have a bigger pool to pull from as far as the assistant coaches go, and their recruiting budget had to be number 1 in the SEC. Georgia made all 3 of those things happen, and it's turned out to be a great move on their part.
What kind of money could you have made from NIL now? If they had NIL in 1980?
Look, I'm happy for these guys. I always thought there was a little something wrong. I can remember seeing those Herschel Walker jerseys selling at the UGA bookstore, and they were flying off the rack, and I just said there's something wrong with him not getting any of that. So I'm happy for these guys right now. I would have blown it all on albums, I think. Probably what I would have blown the money on.
You could have just bought Robbie Mafu's highlight tapes. That would have been good.
No doubt.
Some of my favorite times in my life were being in a room with you, Robbie Mafu's, and Brian Sipe, just talking and just telling stories back and forth. And every time it would get like a little too intense, all of a sudden Mafu's would stand up and go, Brian Sipe back to throw, throws it. Oh, he threw an interception in the end zone. The Raiders are going to win the game. He would do the whole play-by-play from that ill-fated game there.
Yeah, that was a great group. And Matt Robinson, too, a longtime friend, was a part of that for a year. And I just really treasure those times together. I never thought I'd ever end up, on the same team as Brian Sipe, for crying out loud. Mahfouz and I, our relationship went back all the way to Pony League baseball. We played in the Southeast Regional and played against each other. So, yeah, we went way back.
All right, we're going to do yes, no, where, maybe here. But first, I need to ask you, how is Lindsey? I haven't talked to him in a while.
Lindsey's doing great. He's in my hometown of Valdosta now, retired, playing golf about 5 days a week. So I'm a little jealous of what he's doing down there. But I've seen a lot of him, and, he doesn't want to run routes anymore. I want to throw the football to him. He just wants to stand about 15 yards away. That you see a lot of the older guys just throw it back and forth. Heck, I want to see him run a couple of routes for me.
Well, he was. I got along great with him, and it's great to have you on. But we got to play our game that we do with our guests here on the Big Mills Cheesesteak Zoom line, and of course, it's sponsored by Big Mills Cheesesteak. Street dining done right. If you go in there and you mention the Dooley Noted Podcast, you can have free fries with your order. Yes, no way, or maybe. Number one, you were a better baseball player than you were a football player in college.
Maybe. Is that one of the options?
Yeah, it's one of the options. I mean, you hit like 350, didn't you, in Georgia?
Well, I had some great guys I was playing with. I had Jeff Treadway hitting in front of me, Glenn Davis hitting behind me.
Out of
and I remember
Jacksonville,
thinking,
yeah.
I'm going to get some fast-balls to hit. So let's sit on the fastball a little bit. So I had a little bit of help there putting up those numbers. But, I love playing both of them. I could never really come to grips with playing one year round. I needed to change it up a little bit half the year. So that was a great thing for me, was to get away from football for a little bit, totally jump into baseball. And then when baseball was over, jump back into football. I really like the grind of playing those two sports.
Yeah, how far did you get in minor league ball?
Well, I got to Double-A, played up in Memphis for a little bit. And, the problem was at spring training one year, I saw Andre Dawson, who was playing my position in the outfield. And he was 24 years old at the time. And I saw him take batting practice, and I thought, wow, I'm going to have to find something else to do. I mean, the ball just sounded different coming off his bat. And at the time, the Expos had three outfielders, Raines, Cromartie, Dawson. They were all under 25 years old. And we had one of our players in AAA, Fuentes from Florida State. He was the player of the year at Florida State. He hit 50 home runs, drove in 130 runs at AAA, and the very next year was right back at AAA. So it looked like our path was blocked with the Expos. Now, my sons say, Expos, who was that? I said, okay, that was the Nationals, the Washington Nationals organization.
Yeah, which we're not fans of today because you and I are both Braves fans. So, struggle there. But I'm happy to have won the division. We at least got that out of the way. All right, number two on yes, no way, or maybe. Stetson Bennett will be in New York City at the end of the year.
Well, probably not. Probably not.
What if they go undefeated, though? If they go undefeated, his numbers look good. You know it is with the quarterbacks of the undefeated teams. They love those guys.
Yeah, and with Will Anderson Jr. not putting up great stats this year, I wouldn't look for him to make it. C.J. Stroud's going to be there. Bryce Young's going to be there.
Hooker.
So there'll have to be one other player in there. I guess he's got a shot. Let me change that to maybe. And I'm just so happy that he came back. Really love his game. He proved to me, this time a year ago, I was still waiting on JT Daniels to get in there. But the way Stetson played in the playoffs really won me over against Michigan in the Orange Bowl and then again against Alabama in the national championship game. He totally won me over. And, we had some repairing to our relationship we had to do because of that. But I'm hoping they'll open it up. I think, again, it goes back to the ex-wide receiver thing where he doesn't really have that go-to receiver to pad these stats up. I know Brock Bowers is tremendous, and Darnell Washington's another one they probably need to get the ball to a little bit more too. But it's not a slight on Stetson. I think he's deserving of being there. If he had that go-to guy like Tennessee's got a few of them, down there that can run, go get it. We need a few more of those to help him out.
All right, I'm not going to ask you to pick the Florida-Georgia winner because I know who you're going to pick, but I will ask you to pick the Florida or the Georgia-Tennessee winner next week.
Well, I just don't think Tennessee's defense, Pat, is going to be able to hold up. Georgia's going to try to bully him with the run game, and I'm sure Todd Monken has held some things back to head into this stretch run of Florida, Tennessee, Kentucky, Mississippi State. I'm sure he's got some things up his sleeve he's going to break out during this tough stretch that they're going to have finishing up the year. But I like Georgia being able to score with Tennessee, and I think if Georgia defensively has got a shot to slow them down a little bit.
But
So I'm going to take Georgia.
You can take the dogs. I know it's a
Yeah.
little surprise, but I look, believe me, that's where I would go. Still, I'm with you. Tennessee cannot defend anybody, but they're like Florida without the offense. With the offense, they've got an offense. Florida's offense is shaky. You don't know what you're going to get week to week. So we'll see. All right,
I love Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker's done a great job. I love Josh Heupel, what he's doing offensively. It's fun to watch until they play your team. I think their defense is going to hold them back, though, and we'll see that show up here at the end of the year.
Yeah, I think so, too. Always great talking to you, my friend.
It's always good to be with you. You look great, man. Retirement's looking good.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you down the road, okay?
Let's play golf.
Let's do it. All right, Buck Belue, who once has played in the Bob Dooley Invitational, actually. Good friend of mine, and I appreciate having him on. Some of you may be going, why would you have a dog on in Florida-Georgia game? Well, because if I had a writer on, he's WCNN and does a great job doing talk radio there, and I've known him for a long time. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's my show, right, guys? It's my show. I can have whoever on I want. In fact, next coming up, my wife is going to come. No, I'm not. Let's do that. All right, maybe we'll have Tammy on at some point. We're going to have Tammy on for my birthday edition. We've already decided. Tammy and Jason are going to play Yes, No, Where, Maybe with us. Right now, though, I know what we have to do, and that is take a break here on Another Dooley Noted Podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from Another Dooley Noted Podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he has just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What gave me the idea to do this, to have a to-go place?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Spite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Pat Dooley's Story Time is brought to you by East Lake Pediatrics. Nobody knows how to provide pediatric health care for little gators better than Dr. Mike and the other board-certified pediatricians and the pediatric nurse practitioners of East Lake Pediatrics. They have been providing personalized health care to the children of Pinellas, Pasco, and Hillsborough counties since 2004. And with the recent addition of Dr. Chris, who is also board certified in sports medicine, they are now offering care for youth sports injuries as well. To learn more about East Lake Pediatrics, call 727-372-6760. And to get to know them better, listen to Dr. Mike and Dr. Carey on their Peds and Pop podcast on multiple platforms. Gator football is back, and the best way to get exclusive insight is a membership in the Gainesville Quarterback Club. As the oldest Gator booster club in the world, Gainesville Quarterback Club gives you the access to speakers like coaches, Gator greats, and more. Yeah, I even talk over there. It's pretty cool. Share your passion for Gator football with hundreds of other members at weekly in-person meetings or for non-locals via Zoom with an out-of-town membership. Right now, out-of-town memberships are only $150, and all new out-of-town signups get entered to win 2 Champions Club tickets to homecoming. That's pretty cool. Against Missouri, speaker presentations, home game tailgates, and special events throughout the year. Join the Gainesville Quarterback Club today. Email the club at membership@quarterbackclub.org or call me, Pat Dooley, 352-317-3444, and I'll get you in touch with the right people. Gainesville Quarterback Club.
Is your bank dropping the ball, not playing with heart or skill? Then you need to check out the scouting report on Campus USA Credit Union. That's a 5-star recruit if I've ever seen one. Campus has it all, like great rates and products, friendly service, and smart game plans for you and your money. So why not put some star power in your financial life? Visit campuscu.com or any campus service center today.
Honey, can I recruit you to take the garbage out?
Okay, welcome back to another Dooley Noted Podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios here at Steve Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We appreciate Buck Belue for joining us and always have a great time with him. Again, on Friday, it'll be Coach Spurrier, and Robbie Andrew will be on for Yes, Nowhere maybe as well. And then, again, the same on Monday. We're just doubling up because Coach Spurrier's got to be elsewhere. Let us go to our Leonardo's and Millhopper quick picks, and I'm telling you guys, I think everybody missed last week's potential qualifier. I don't think anybody got it right. Yeah, I think because everybody picked the same. Anyway, I haven't really looked through it all the way. We do have a couple of qualifiers for the week before. We'll give you one right now. And again, Sean Belgrade won the contest again, second week in a row. We put a rule in, you can't win 2 weeks in a row from now on, but he did win legitimately. And Sean, I will be getting you that package again. You know how, I don't want to say lazy I can be. I've always got other things going on. Like Wednesday, I got to play golf with my brother. So here's our pick on the Leonardo's and Millhopper quick pick. Utah, this is going to give you a reason to stay up on Thursday night till 11 o'clock to watch a game. Maybe not. It's 11 o'clock on FS1 if you want to watch it. Utah at Washington State. Washington State's a tough place to play, which I can't figure out why because there's nobody there. I mean, it's a loud crowd. It's almost like Florida basketball where it wasn't the number of people. It was that they were on top of you, and Washington State's the same way. But anyway, Utah's an 8-point favorite, though. So if you take Utah and they win by 7, you lose. Just know that. I hope nobody gets confused on these. That is our Leonardo's and Millhopper quick pick. Again, 11 o'clock on FS1. Yeah, our Adams Ribco to go Gator of the weekend. Adams Ribs sounds really good right now. I haven't eaten lunch yet, so I may have to head over there. Is Leanne Wong. Leanne Wong, of course, great gymnast at the University of Florida. She is part of the 6-member U.S. team that is going to the World Games, and she is only the 3rd ever gymnast in the history of gymnastics to go Worlds, have a college season, and then go to the Worlds. Only 3 have done it. Kathy Johnson, who you guys see on the broadcast, I think his name's Kathy Johnson, right, is one of the other 3. But it's a pretty prestigious thing for her to do that and compete, win, and qualify for the World Games. So another feather in the cap for the class that Ms. Rowland has put together, certainly over the years. I mean, she's stacking. We talk about stacking recruiting classes, which is exactly what Georgia's done in football. This is what she is doing in volleyball. This is what she is doing in gymnastics, just bringing in great gymnasts after great gymnasts. And so they've got a loaded team again this year. As we know, Trinity Thomas coming back. I can't wait for gymnastics season to start. But Leanne Wong is our Adams Ribco to go. Gator of the weekend. Obviously, we had no football to talk about, but she's our Adams Rib coach. It wouldn't matter. I still would have made it Leanne Wong. All right, let us get to three things. And three things, as you know, is brought to you by Hesser Kipke, a law firm based in Hale Plantation, specializing in employment, workers' comp, and family law. Visit their website at www.hklawfl.com or call Ken and Jennifer at 352-339-9920. Ken is feeling his oats. I'm pretty sure he was at the clinching game for the Phillies. Look, I like Ken a lot. I'm not a Phillies guy, obviously. I'm a Braves guy, but I'm happy for him. If I can be, it allows me, and I think I'll root for the Phillies to beat the Astros. I still can't get over the cheating thing with the Astros, But they're really good even when they don't cheat. But they didn't have to cheat. But they still cheat. It's like Barry Bonds would have hit 1 million homers without cheating, but he cheated. It's just the way I look at things. But anyway, pretty good. It's been pretty good for him. We got to get rid of this Philly thing. What's going on? I mean, they're undefeated in football. There's only one team undefeated in football. They're playing the World Series. Luckily, their basketball team is not good. And that is number one on the three things by Hesser and Kipke. Never thought I would see it, even though I don't pay that much attention to regular season NBA basketball. But the Lakers are 0-3. Sixers are 0-3. These are the Uber teams, right? The teams that are supposed to be so great, not Uber, but Uber with a little double, what do you call it? What do you call that when you have two dots over a letter and it makes it pronounced differently? Uber. No, you don't know? Wow, that college education you got. Did you go to Florida? Okay, that explains it. It's like two little accent marks. Anyway, so they were supposed to be great. 0-3, both of them. Doesn't bother me with the Lakers. I don't care about the Sixers, but the Lakers. My story about the Lakers, I used to hate them. I used to love them, now I hate them. It's called what? UMLATUS. Omelatus? Forget it. I'm never going to use that word in public. All right, that was number one. Number two, I've changed my philosophy on the noon games and why it's happening, okay? And my theory now is why we have so many noon games and then you kind of spread out the other games, and it's almost like my argument was they were following the NFL. I think they're following Fox. I think Fox has built a really good way of doing things in that they have this big noon kickoff, and they have Urban, and they have all these people on there to do the pregame, and then they go right to a game, and it's usually their biggest game of the week. And I think now the other networks go, we got to compete with that, so you're putting better games there. For example, this week it's Ohio State, Penn State, which is their best game for the Fox network. So that's my theory now. It'll change again next week. Just stay with me on this. Finally, speaking of teams that aren't doing as well as we thought, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Tom Brady are 3-4 right now and in first place. What kind of conference is that? Division is that? Lost 21-3 to Carolina, which nobody saw happening. Carolina was playing their third-team quarterback, and they lost. I'm not a Bucs fan, but it's got to be depressing, and you got to wonder what's going on in his head to score only 3 points. The worst part of that game, though, by far, was video that they showed in the tunnel of refs coming up to Mike Evans and asking for his autograph. And I'm like, come on. Does that happen? Now, if you don't give him the autograph, are you going to get the call in the next play? You got to sign it, right? Oh, those guys should be disciplined in some way. Unless maybe he was the guy who had to sign off on the game. Like, oh, yeah. Like in Best in Show when the guy signs off on who wins the dog show. I mean, maybe otherwise, if you're getting an autograph from a guy after a game, that's not right, and you should not be working any more NFL games. That is our three things brought to you by Ken Hesser and Jennifer Kipke, two very happy people right now because their Phillies are going where they're going. Let us get to the Gainesville Quarterback Club Games of the Week. Cannot wait for this weekend. A lot of stuff going on there. Baseball doesn't start till Friday, so I'm not even going to bring up where it is and what channels it's on. Softball, Florida plays against USF at 6 o'clock on Wednesday, and then St. Leo on Friday if you want to go out to the ballpark. I think it's free admission. Volleyball plays at Auburn Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. I think it's on TV. I think it's on the SEC network. And then baseball is playing in Jacksonville against Georgia. They play that's 10-inning game. College games, nothing really to get excited about except that Utah-Washington State game. NFL, you got Chicago at New Orleans Monday at 8:15 and Baltimore at Tampa Bay Thursday night. And that is our Gainesville Quarterback Club Games of the Week. We do need to get to the Campus USA Play of the Week since the Gators were not playing. Here it is. And it comes to you courtesy of Bryce Young, which was you might want to rush him. It's not working out too well for you, and it's not going to end well for Mississippi State either. Game was not close at all. I thought it might be a really good game, but it wasn't. But Bryce Young, I don't even think about the Heisman seriously until we get to November usually. Usually at the start of November I go, okay, if you were going to vote now, I can't tell you who I'd vote for. But I know Bryce Young's on my ballot. And I know there are going to be people who aren't going to vote for him because they don't like to see a repeat winner. Only Archie Griffin, who didn't even have that great of a senior year, but they still gave it to him. Bryce Young right now would be in my top 3, but I say that I may have a top 5 actually. But next week I start thinking more about it. I think what he has done, he is an unbelievable player. He is Mahomes-ish, and I like him a lot. All right, that is our Gainesville Quarterback Club Games of the Week, and that was our Campus USA Play of the Week, which we usually do with Coach Spurrier on Mondays. Maybe we'll do another one on Friday. We'll see what he wants to do about that, and then we'll come back with one again on Monday. We appreciate the good people at Campus USA, which is where I bank. Adams Ribs, where I eat. So is Ballyhoo Grill. So is Leonardo's. All these places are where I do my business. Although I have not been to Eastlake Pediatrics yet so far. But they are a great sponsor, and we love them. Let's get to Pat Dooley's story time, brought to you, as always, by Eastlake Pediatrics. Since we were talking to Buck about his USFL days, I'm going to tell you this story. So the great part of covering the USFL was how much I got to travel. I went everywhere. I saw everything in the state, United States, but it was great. We would spend weeks on the road. And one year I want to say we were in San Francisco staying. It might have been somewhere else, but the way I remember was San Francisco. The Oakland Invaders were the team we were playing. They were playing the Bulls. I can say we now. The Bulls were playing, and I loved that dealing with those guys, friends with a lot of them, very close friends, including the song, but who you saw a lot last night. So apparently one night, guy was in the shower. His name was Danny Lutz. He was a linebacker from Georgia Tech. Slipped in the shower for some reason, fell, hit his shoulder, dislocated it. The next day, the Bulls cut him. Because they couldn't use a guy who had a separated shoulder. And I got it, kind of, but I wrote a story about it and questioned, well, how can you cut a guy because he fell in the shower? But fast forward many years later, my little girl was born, Kelsey. Of course, I already had a daughter, Jennifer. But my little girl's born, Kelsey. And every time I would get her into the bathroom and make her be careful about getting in the bathroom, I would always say the same thing. Don't be a klutz like Danny Lutz. It stayed with her forever. And it got to a point where I would be getting her in the bathtub, and she would go, what do you know? What do you believe in? Don't be a klutz like Danny Lutz. And every time it would happen, I would go, poor Danny Lutz. I feel bad for him. He got cut because he fell in the shower. Those things happen. That was the USFL, but it was the best time of my life. All right, we appreciate Buck Belue for being on the show. Always great. On Friday, not only will we have Coach Spurrier, but Robbie Andrew will be doing Yes, No, Where, Maybe. We look forward to that. Thanks so much for our great crew here, Jason and Tammy. Tammy was very good today because she reminded me about the Campus USA Play of the Week, which I'd not written down here, and so good for her. She's the best. All right, we will be back on Friday with Coach Spurrier. Until then, I am Pat Dooley. I am deep. I'm way back, and I am out of here.